Hello, and welcome to the This Happened Today in History podcast for March 3rd. I am your host, Mr. Miller. This podcast will cover a number of topics that happened on this date in history. Please visit the podcast webpage at thishappenedtoday.buzzsprout.com. There you can download the notes page, which will help you organize the information as well as develop your own ideas on how these events changed the world around us. If you're interested in hearing more, please consider subscribing so you will not miss out on what happens tomorrow in history. In 1845, Florida became the 27th state for the United States of America. William D. Moseley was elected the new state's first governor, and David Levy Yulee, one of Florida's leading proponents for statehood, became a U.S. senator. Beginning in the 1870s, residents from northern states began visiting Florida as tourists to enjoy the state's natural beauty and mild climate. Steamboat tours on Florida's winding rivers were a popular attraction for these visitors. World War II spurred economic development in Florida, and because of its year-round mild climate, the state became a major training center for soldiers, sailors, and aviators of the United States and its allies. Highway and airport construction accelerated so that by war's end, Florida had an up-to-date transportation network ready for use by residents and the visitors who seemed to arrive in an endless stream. The U.S. space program, with its historic launches from Cape Canaveral, have brought media attention to the state. The citrus industry continues to prosper despite occasional winter freezes, and tourism also remains important, bolstered by large capital investments. Florida attractions such as the large theme parks in Orlando bring millions of visitors to the state from across the United States and around the world. A few days ago, I had mentioned that the Space Shuttle Discovery was launched for the very last time. Well, on this date in 2011, the last spacewalk was conducted from the Space Shuttle Discovery before its retirement. The spacewalk was completed by two astronauts, Steve Bowen and Alvin Drew. The pair spent 6 hours on their spacewalk, completing tasks for the International Space Station. Even with the retirement of the Space Shuttle program, astronauts from many different organizations continued to visit and work at the space station. Spacewalks continue to add to or repair items on the outside of the station. The International Space Station program is scheduled to continue through at least 2030, and recent news has stated that other space agencies have discussed developing and building their own space stations to conduct scientific missions. In 1931, over a century after the poem was written by Francis Scott Key, the United States finally established the Star-Spangled Banner as its official U.S. national anthem. The lyrics of this song were written on September 14th of 1814 while Key observed the British invasion of Fort McHenry, a war zone located in Maryland, USA. The Star-Spangled Banner composition was inspired by a flag that remained standing even after several hundred bombings had occurred. The poem was printed in newspapers and eventually set to the music of a popular English drinking tune called To Anachron in Heaven by composer John Stafford Smith. People began referring to the song as the Star-Spangled Banner, and in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson announced that it should be played at all official events. It was adopted as the national anthem on this date in 1931. You have been listening to the This Happened Today in History podcast for March 3rd. I thank you for listening, and I hope that you have enjoyed learning about historical events from the past. Thank you to the following websites for the information regarding the topics today: thepeoplehistory.com, the Department of State at myflorida.com, International Space Station at nasa.gov, and the Star-Spangled Banner at history.com. The music used as the background track for this podcast is Americana, created by Kevin MacLeod on Incompetech.com. If you enjoyed this information and would like to hear more, please consider subscribing, as this will keep the historical events in your feed in the morning for each day. I hope you have a great day.